Okay, let's get started. You ready?
Yeah.
We wait a few minutes. Alrighty.
Everybody else assigns?
Okay, welcome to the seminar workshop on time management for real estate agents. And congratulations to you for making the time to be here today. And I have a couple of great points to bring up, and there are a lot of things that we can talk about in regard to time management. In fact, there are seminars and classes that I've been to literally for days strictly on time management. So we're going to condense this down to a little more than an hour and give you some really great bullet points and some simple techniques, because sometimes the things that interrupt you, that get you off track and cause you to waste time and or lose time are very complicated, but the solutions are very simple. Okay? So I promise to share those with you today. Now, when real estate agents are polled and they're asked what would be your favorite seminar, what kind of information do you need, time management always comes up within the top 3 items that they'd like to learn about. Time management. In fact, 70% of the people that fail in this business, that are failing in this business, wish they had more what?
Time.
Right? So, we need to balance our life, and part of balancing our life first is balancing our career. Now feel this. I personally, we talk about time management, okay? I've personally averaged 55 transactions per year for the 5 years that I listed and sold real estate. In the last 3 years, I averaged 78 transactions a year for the last 3 years that I was in real estate. Do you think I learned a few things about time management? Wait, I'm not done yet. In that time period, I got my ABR, CRS, GRI, and I also was training to potentially try out for the Olympic team for Taekwondo, okay? In addition to that, I had 2 small children. Now, feel this. Wednesday and Thursday nights was my night to watch the kids while Mom worked late. Saturday night was date night. And Sunday night was family night. That left me 3 nights to go on listing appointments. And there are nights where I literally go on 3 listing appointments a night. I remember those nights. Not getting home sometimes until 10 o'clock. We're going on 3 listing appointments in one night after 5. Listen, gang, can you imagine that schedule? I learned time management. I'm still learning time management today. Okay? Some people, when I was the regional vice president, they said, 16 offices. How the heck do you do that? How do you do it? Right? Time management. I'm going to share with you some very powerful techniques today. Now, what is time? If you ask a boss, time is what?
Money.
Time is money, right? If you ask someone who's an intellect, they would say time is the space between events. Okay? Here's what I want to explain to you folks. Time is life. Time is irrevocable. Time, you can't get it back once it's gone. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. If you lose a friend, you can get that friend back. You lose a house, you can get that house back. You lose money, you can get the money back. You lose time, it's gone. And once it's gone forever. So knowing that, we owe it to ourselves and to our family and to our children, our grandchildren, our spouse, our significant others. If you don't have any of the above, you owe it to yourself, right? To make the most out of your what? Time. You got it. Now, time is also a common denominator amongst amongst everyone. Tall, short, young, old. Time is, we're all giving, our Creator has given us 24 hours a day. And when she gave us that time,
Oh boy.
that's right.
Uh-oh.
Way into the audience.
But that's good. Some women like that. They like that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right.
But remember, the response was, she said, "Oh boy."
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Good point. Esther, what do you? I don't know. I don't get it. many agree? You know, what's funny is that when you say time is a common denominator to self-made successful people, but also time is the same common denominator for self-made failures as well. The only difference is you don't hear people saying, you know, hi, I'm a self-made failure. Hey Ken, how you doing? I'm a self-made failure. You know, people don't go around and say, yeah, I did it myself. I did it all by myself. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm a self-made failure. You don't hear people say, but we're all given the same amount of time. So what we have to obviously recognize is that self-made successful people are doing things differently than self-made failures. Okay? Now, how many hours in a week? 168 hours a week, right? Okay, so here's what we're going to talk about. Now, I'm going to give you 5 simple steps, but before we do that, let's go into the questions, okay? We all have the same amount of talent, ambition, or what? Time. Answer is C, correct. If you start something, finish it, or else A, don't even start it, B, it better be worth your time, or C, you're in big trouble.
A.
A is correct.
Oh.
What gives you the best return on time invested? A, floor time. Why isn't anybody laughing? Okay. B, previewing houses for buyers. Or C, face-to-face appointments with qualified sellers. Great. Underline the word qualified, if you would, please. Number 2, many of you know and have heard about Floyd Wickman, and I am, of course, a big fan of Floyd. And come on in, there's plenty of seats. Yeah, come on in. I'm a big fan of Floyd, and you know, Floyd teaches that, and he recommends that you take a full day off every week, month, or year.
Year.
Every year, that's correct.
You're kidding.
That's
Kidding.
him.
I am kidding.
I mean, it's good to be driven, but that would be ridiculous. Wait.
I'm glad somebody said something.
Tomorrow's the day.
Yeah.
It is, of course, what?
Week.
A week.
Yes, absolutely. Number 1, you know, and it's interesting, underline the word full. Because some people say, you know, I'm taking 2 days off this week, but they're not. I think taking 1 full day off would restore your batteries better than if you took 2 half days off.
You're right.
You feel what I'm saying? Or 3 half days off, or 5 half days off. I mean, in real estate, listen, I know independent contractors, what their schedule is like. I was one too, right? I mean, I went from having a real job where I had to be there at 9, take a lunch from 12 to 1, and stay until 6. And that was it. And I was even told when to take a break. That was my job. You follow me? And then I get into real estate, and I came in at 9:05, and the manager didn't say anything. And then I took an hour and 15 minutes for lunch, and the manager still didn't say anything. I left early one day. Ooh, nobody said anything. So I came in a little later, left a little earlier, took a little longer lunch, started doing what everyone else was doing in my office, and immediately went broke, just like everyone else in my office was going. Isn't that special? Right? Real estate. Wow, I'm a big shot independent contractor. No one's going to tell me what to do. Heck, I got into real estate so I didn't have to work. That wasn't your intention, of course. But wow, does it take self-discipline to manage your time?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
John,
Yes.
when you talk about taking a full day off, though, I
Yes.
mean, that was easy to do 10 years ago.
Yes?
But now we've got voicemails, we've got emails, we've got laptops.
Yes.
And how many of us, when we say I'm taking a day off, still are checking our emails, still are checking our voicemails, still are doing the laptop?
It's not taking a full day off, you're right. And that's a good point, that, you know, because of technology and because we're so available all the time. You know, it used to be you wanted to take a day off, just don't go into the office. Then it was, you want to take a day off, don't go into the office or don't go home,
Yeah.
right? And you wouldn't get any of your messages. And you could say to everyone, I'm not home. What's your excuse now? Well, your excuse now has to be that today's my day off. Too many people in real estate are afraid to tell a client or a customer that you're taking the day off. I'm going to talk about some techniques of things you can do, actually, and things that you should do. And I'm going to warn you about what I'm going to tell you. It's very simple. And some of what I'm going to tell you in all of these seminars They are things that are going to make you uncomfortable. There are things that you're not going to agree with, because think about this. If you go to a seminar and you agree with everything the person tells you and you like everything the person tells you, your mind has not had an opportunity to grow. Okay? Truly. I mean, you didn't come here to hear me talk about things you already know, right? And you want to grow your mind, expand your mind. So I'm going to share some things with you today that might make you a little uncomfortable. I say that at every workshop, but that's my goal, to help you stretch and to grow. What number are we on?
One.
Number 1. The most effective time management tool is A, a watch. B, a things to do list in priority order. Or C, an appointments book.
B.
B is correct. Let's go to the next page. 5 steps. What kind of steps are they, folks?
Simple.
Yes, simple steps. 5 simple steps. Number 1, focus on a plan. Number 1, write that down. Focus on a plan. Plan your day, plan your week, plan your month, plan your year. Business plans. You heard about that? You've done them, you've worked with them. Make a plan. You know, when I was an agent, I used to have what I called my 30-day marketing plan. The 30-day marketing plan was rather simple. And it would just outline all the things that I would do. And I called it the 30-day marketing plan because the way I would explain it to the seller is that these are all the things I'm going to do in the first 30 days that the home is on the market. Okay? And I would look at the seller and I would say to them, what's that old saying, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? If you fail to, I forget how it goes. If you, what is it?
Yeah, plan, fail.
Yeah, that's it. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You got it, Mrs. Smith. Right? And I'd let them finish the sentence for me, right? And I'd always kind of screw it up on purpose to get them to tell me, because I wanted them to say it. I didn't want to be the one to say it. I wanted them to tell me. And because that is a fact, and you would agree that is a fact, right? And of course you do, because you just said it to me, right? and that's the point of why I asked her to say it. And so what I do is I say, I have a plan. Here's my plan to get your home sold. And by the way, any of the competitors that you've interviewed for the job of marketing and selling your home, did they have a plan, and did they, excuse me, before you finish finish answering that question, did they have a plan in writing? In I was never on ever one listing appointment, and I've been on hundreds of listing appointments where any seller has said yes, they had a plan. Not once did I ever compete against someone else who had a written plan that was willing to give it to the seller in writing, and then another separate piece of paper that said, you can fire me if I don't complete every single one of these line items on the 30 days. Now, when I started doing this, I had like 30 items. Yeah. And as I started getting more listings, I thought, I need to cut this down. And guess what? It didn't hurt my closing ratio at all. I could have a plan with 4 items in there, and I could beat my competition. The fact is that I had a plan, and my competitors did not. Okay? The power of a plan, it's extremely powerful. So you need to have one every day, every week, every month, and for your entire year. Set that plan. Plan is also sometimes in the form of a what? A good
Goal.
A goal, right? That's a hockey stick, by the way.
Yep.
Doing that.
That was a golf club.
Every day, list something you would like to do that day. This is number 2. Every day, I want you to make a list of all the things you would like to do that day, or that you need to do that day. Sticking with number 2, pick the top 3 most important items . Take the top 3 most important items and work on those until they're finished. every day, make a list of all the things you need to do that day. Take the top 3 items and work on those 3 items until they're finished. Here's what I propose to you, okay? If you were a person who completed and finished the top 3 items of the 3 most important things that you needed to do every day, you very quickly would be the type of person that could afford to pay someone else to do all the other stuff. Okay? Let that soak in a little bit. Okay? And what you can do is simply by, even, some of you right now are looking at me, but you're also thinking about all the things that you have to do today, right? And that's normal. So what you always want to do is put it in right. In fact, a great way to reduce stress is take everything that's on your mind, and they call it a mind dump, and take everything that's in your head and put it on a piece of paper. And many, many times in my life when I've done this, when I felt a little anxious, I feel a little overwhelmed, I feel like, wow, there's just too much going on, I always put it in writing on a piece of paper, and then I list everything that needs to be done, and then I realize that the stress goes away. The stress goes away for 2 different reasons. Number one, I'm not worried about forgetting about any of this stuff because I've just put it on paper. So now I have no stress about having to worry about what needs to get done. I won't forget. Number 2, I can organize it in a form of what is the most important action item on this list right now that really needs to be done, and then I work on that item. You pick the top 3 every day and work on those 3 items, and you can afford to pay someone to do the rest of the stuff. When you do that, look at those 3 items. And don't forget to add these items to your list. Get a listing today. How about get a listing this week? That's a top priority item that should be, because you're in real estate, by the way, that's not an option. One of your top items is to get a listing. I was talking to a manager in Eastern Mass. They were calling to reminisce of, about the old times and the current times, and they had a new agent who was new to the company but not new to real estate come into the office, and they said, I don't know what you think, listings. I work with buyers, and you're telling everybody to go out there and get listings. No one's going to get listings, and listings aren't selling, and you need to find a buyer. And she said, whoa, stop. How are you going to find a buyer without a listing? Right? In fact, the very best way, if you love working with buyers, is to get a listing that's priced right. You'll attract all kinds of great buyers. Okay? So you have to list to last in real estate, and that's the way to go there. So if you're in real estate, whether you like working with buyers or not, and especially if you like working with buyers, your goal this week is to get a listing. Get a listing this week. That's one of the top 3 priority things. And this is not in any specific order. They're all equal. Training. What did you do to sharpen your axe this week? What training class or training session did you go to help you get better at what you do, to learn a new dialogue, to put one more dialogue in your brain to help you get to where you want to go in this real estate business? The day of the average agent is gone, gang. It's gone. The average agent cannot exist anymore. Every office across the country right now, at this time of year, and this year, they're losing a handful of agents because they can't justify paying the fees and the dues because they haven't made any what?
Money.
Because they didn't have a plan, right, to make the money. Listen, everybody had training available to them, and when they went to the training program, and it taught you what to do and how to do it, it was up to that individual person to go out and implement what it was that they learned. And if they didn't, then they had no money, right? So people think that when they go to work with a company in real estate, they think it's the company's job to supply them with business. Because after all, I'm working for this company, but you're not. You're not working for any company. In fact, you're working for who?
Yourself.
You're working for yourself, right? You're the boss, you're the CEO of your company. Now, every now and then, if you're qualified, you get a reload lead. Or if you're at the front desk, somebody walks in and says, I want to buy this house right here, Linda. I want to buy this house. Can you help me write up the offer? Sometimes that happens. Sometimes people call up and they say, Bill, I've got $1 million home and I want to get it on the market. Can you list it for me? And Bill says, where's my coat? Here I go, right? Sometimes that happens, and that's a bonus. But you can't make a living waiting for any company anywhere in the United States to provide you with enough leads to make a living in real estate. So what does that leave you with? It leaves you with, well, I have to go out there and make it myself, right? Make it rain, make it happen. You're all owners of a store, and you own a store and you walk in and the shelves are empty when you first get into the real estate business. You have to put things on the shelves so that when customers come in, they can see it and buy it. Otherwise known as being listless. Okay? Without listings. That's what listless means. Without listings. So you need to go out and get listings. Now, what I'm going to share with you is a little visual in terms of what I talk about getting the top 3 things done. Are you guys with me this morning?
Yeah.
You look very intense. Very intense. All right. Now, what I'm going to represent to you is that these plastic jars, I'll call them, okay? These jars represent 168 hours in the week, okay? 168 hours in the week. These are what these jars represent. What do the jars represent?
168 hours.
168 hours in a week, right. Ken, can you hold one of these? Esther. Oops, sorry.
Only one, Esther.
Drop the ball. Okay, never mind. And one for Linda. Now, Ken, Esther, and Linda, they're holding these 3 balls in their hands. They're actually jawbreakers, believe it or not. I don't know how somebody could eat those, but anyway. Right. So now, Linda, could you, in a real loud voice, tell everybody what does your ball say?
Prospecting.
Prospecting. Add that to your list of important things to do. Esther, what does yours say?
Listing appointments.
Listing appointments, right? We already covered that. And we also covered what Ken says. Ken, what is yours?
Training.
Training. So training, listing appointments, and prospecting. If your day does not consist of each of those 3 items in some way or another, if you don't have an audio cassette tape that's in your car that's playing up something about real estate on your way back and forth to an appointment somewhere, and you're not putting something in your brain every day to help you sharpen your axe in the real estate business, you're doing yourself an incredible disservice. In fact, the best way to manage your time is to make more money per hour, and the best way to make more money per hour is to be better at what you do and how you do it. Now, the balls represent what? Yeah. 3 most important things. And I didn't have to say that in Polish, John.
That's right.
Yeah.
I said it in Polish?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. But the 3 most important things, thank you very much. The 3 most important things that we need to do during the course of a day. And sometimes it's not this. Sometimes it's bring the dog to the vet, right? That is the most important thing. And that's okay. Right? But when you take care of those personal things, it frees up your mind and your brain to get the business things done. You follow me? Now, the rice in this jar represents the other stuff, the little things. That's a piece of rice, see? The little things that you have to do in life. Somebody please name for me some of the little things that you have to do in real estate that are not related to training, prospecting, and going on listing appointments. What are those things?
Pick up the milk at the grocery store.
Pick up the milk at the grocery store, absolutely.
Clean your desk.
Clean your desk, yes. And what about real estate specific items? What about
Return calls.
return calls? Absolutely. Email, return email. What else?
Thank you notes.
Thank you notes, absolutely. What else? Voicemail. What else?
Make
Check.
appointments, showing appointments.
Set up showing appointments, yes. What else?
Feedback from showing appointments.
Feedback from showing appointments. What else?
Call your sellers.
Call your sellers.
Call town halls for information.
Call town halls for information. This is where that's where I want to go with this. What else?
Prospecting letters.
Prospecting letters. You know, what Tim's saying is prospecting letters. Thank you so much for saying that. That
That
was
was on my
awesome.
list of things you told me to say.
Right. That was good. Thank you,
That's
Tim.
what I did this week.
But now when Tim brings up a point, some people confuse folding, stuffing, sealing, stamping, and sending. They consider that prospecting, and it's not. That's an administrative task. Prospecting is when you're talking or speaking live, face to face or on the phone with a decision-making adult. That's prospecting. You follow me? How about this? What are all the things you have to do to prepare for the listing appointment?
Right.
What? Do the CMA, right? These are the little things that need to get done. How about you get a listing? What do you do after you get the listing?
All the paper issues.
The paperwork, the photographs. Some of you are still entering your listings in MLS, right? Some of you are.
What do you
Maybe
mean?
not in this room, which is
What do you
know,
mean entering?
where you get all the information
Instead of like
from the
Pat or
seller.
Bob doing it.
And
Do it ourselves, you mean?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, I know there are a lot of agents who do that. Who will enter in the listing themselves.
we can't.
And
Not
then-
allowed to.
We're not allowed to.
But they're doing it
Trust
anyway.
me, there are, let me say this again, there are many agents in our company that are entering the listing agreements themselves into the MLS. And let me ask you a question. Is that a good use of their time?
No.
No.
But how about this old saying, if you want to get it done right, do it what?
So,
It's hard. It's hard to let go, right?
Mm.
It's hard to let go. You know, but listen, have an open mind when I say this and don't get mad. Sometimes that's just an excuse for not doing the important things. But you don't even realize you're doing it. You're doing it subconsciously. You follow me? I know that statement doesn't apply to everybody in the room, but if the shoe fits, wear it. Think about it. Let it sink in. That maybe the reason why you're doing the stamping, the stuffing, the licking, the sending, and the brochures and putting it into MLS and all the little stuff. It's to avoid learning. You know, some people avoid going to training because then, if you learned what you really needed to do,
We have to do it.
you'd have to do it, and that would eliminate the excuses that you have already walking around in your conscious and subconscious mind to
Feel-
keep wasting time and making excuses as to why you're not being more successful in real estate. And we talked about this in the last session too, excuses. Oh, it's the market. There are more millionaires made in recessionary times than at any other time in our country. It's the market. You just have to change what you do. You can make lots of money in real estate if you just change what you do from one market to the next. It's the interest rates. It's these lousy buyers or these sellers that aren't motivated. It's the agents in my office. It's the company. It's my manager. You know, it's my car. My car's dirty. That's why, you know, they're all excuses. So we have to try to eliminate those. Now, here's what happens. The jar represents what?
Your day or your time.
168 hours in a week.
168 hours in the week. So here's what happens in real life, folks. You ready? Feel this. Watch. What does the rice represent?
The little stuff.
little
All the
things.
little stuff. Here's what happens.
Those are those things that just won't get done.
Put the other things in the back.
The important things don't get done.
Now, this is your day. The end of the day's coming to a close, right? And now Linda tries to fit in the prospecting. Go ahead, push it in. That's all right. Esther puts in listing appointments, and Ken's trying to put in.
He tries hard anyway.
He's trying to put in the training, and then what? Oh, what happens?
Not enough time.
Not enough time. Doesn't fit, right? But now, look at, so really tried to jam the prospecting in too. Those and so let's look at this now. Let's take another week. All right, this was last week. This is this week. Okay, this week we're going to do what three things? We're going to do
training,
prospecting,
and get a listing.
Listing appointments.
listing appointments, right? And training, right? And we'll do those things first in our schedule. And the way that you do them first is you put them in your schedule and you leave them there. You do not move them. You do not make excuses why you do not do these things. You do them first, okay? And they take priority over all the what?
Little stuff.
The little stuff. So the big reason why you don't do these things is in your mind, in your subconscious mind, and in your conscious mind, you're saying to yourself, well, I don't have time to do these things. But here's what happens in reality. Here's the same amount of little stuff that you had the previous week. Watch what happens.
Something doesn't get done.
It's supposed to.
No, it's all gonna fit.
You eat the rest of the rice.
Yeah. Have lunch.
Yeah, that's your lunch.
That was wasted time anyway.
And now look what happens,
Sandy.
right?
Full day.
Everything gets done in the 168 hours of the week. You did the three things, or in a day. You could say 24 hours in a day. You did the three most important things, and everything else got done. That's life. That's what really happens. That's why there are self-made successful people and self-made failures, is that they're all given the same amount of time. The key is they're doing different things with their time. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
So, hold on to this visual. I wanted to, show you rather than tell you today, okay, about this. Now,
That's 168 hours. That means you're working around the clock.
well, one of the little things actually is
Yeah,
sleep.
sleep.
I mean, some people aren't doing that, and that's a great point. Some people aren't sleeping in real estate. Some people are not getting the required number of hours of sleep during the week because they're in real estate, because they're doing too many of the little things, and they're so stressed out about not getting the big things done that are causing them to even more stress. And they're too busy making excuses as to why they're not doing the big things.
You sound so
It's they need to that they're losing sleep. Sometimes they go to bed on time, but they're just not sleeping.
Or dreaming about bad things in
Yeah.
real estate.
Or dreaming about bad things in real estate. Now listen, the only reason why bad things in real estate happen is that you don't have enough listings. Listen, there is not one thing that if you give me any problem in real estate, I don't care what it is, you can bring up any problem that you personally are having in real estate. There is not one problem that cannot be cured by having more listings. Give me a problem. I have an unmotivated buyer. No problem. If you had 10 listings, you'd have so many buyer prospects, you could kick those buyers out of your car and only work with the ones that needed to buy. John, I have a listing that's not selling, and I'm spending all my time, energy, and effort in my day marketing this listing. Listen, if you had 10 listings, you could go to that seller and say, look, I have 2 pieces of paper. I have one that says cancel, and I have one that says reduce the price. Which one do you want to sign? And you wouldn't care about the outcome, because either way, you win. If they cancel it, you win. If they reduce the price, you win. Look, it's not going to sell anyway. But who's stressing out? Who's making more marketing flyers and brochures and more open houses for these listings that aren't selling? There isn't one problem that you have in this business that cannot be solved by having more listings. It's the same thing in management. There's not one problem if you owned a real estate office or you were the manager of a real estate office, there's not one problem you could have that cannot be solved by having more agents. Not one. Right? It's inventory. It's inventory. You need the inventory. That solves all the problems. Some people are looking for the magic answer. Some people go into training seminars to find out the magic answer. What's going to solve my problem today? And that's it. Remember, I warned you ahead of time before I even started. The answers are so simple. They're so simple. Okay? Now, it's hard work. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's easy work. It's hard work. But it's an easy business that we're in. It's not, it's not rocket science, as some people like to say. There are a lot of things you need to know, a lot of things you need to learn to be an efficient real estate agent. But that's why you have people around you, you have managers, and you have a company. If you have something that you need a question answered, then we can back you up with all that. So, so what's the excuse for not going on more listing appointments? You know, some people blame it on the do not call list, right? Listen, we have 150 agents in our region. And there was a seminar yesterday called Working Smarter, and 11 people showed up. It just blows my mind. You know, the 150 agents got the invitation to come to this seminar to learn how to manage their time in real estate agents, for real estate agents, and how many people are here today? 15 people, right? Out of 150. What's that in percentage? 10%? I mean, and then out of, here's the statistics. Don't get mad, because you can be that one person, okay? That usually when I give a class like this, 1 or 2 people actually leave the class and implement everything that they learned. Out of 150 people, that's less than 1%. When I was an agent, I was in this category of, it was very impressive to hear this, all right, you ready? I was in the top 0.5% of all the agents in the company. And that's not hard to do. Think about the numbers. I mean, look, remember my first manager, George Meserve, said to me, John, if you just do the things you're supposed to do in this business, you will absolutely shine. Show up to listing appointments on time, show up to listing appointments prepared, show up to listing appointments, right? If you just do the right things in this business, you'll absolutely shine. And I said, what do you mean by that? And he took me to I was in an office, and it was I would call it a semi-private. It was this little 8x10 room that had 4 desks in it. And he took me out, and he put his arm around my shoulder, and he said, John, look out there. And I saw all the agents in the office. This was back in the day when all the agents did work in the office, right? And he goes, that's your competition? And I said, oh yeah. There wasn't a single gentleman in my office who was wearing a suit and tie. And some of the ladies, you know, their hair wasn't done. I mean, and they were just, you know, they weren't wearing a suit when they were going out on appointments. And I thought, wow, you know, yeah, I just have to do the right stuff, and good things will happen. And George said, yeah, that's all, John. Just do what you're supposed to do, and you'll absolutely shine in real estate. So when I went to training and they taught me that you need to have a marketing plan and explain this to the seller, I said, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do? Yeah. So I did it. You're supposed to offer everyone a home warranty and explain the benefits of having a home warranty and what the benefits are to the seller for having a home warranty, and I did it. You're supposed to refer all your buyers to your in-house mortgage company, and I did it. And everything worked. It wasn't a shock to me because everyone told me it would work, so I just did what they told me to do, you know, and it worked. Time management. Now, here's another item. Number 3, complete your circles. Complete your circles. How do I explain this to you? Start something and then finish it. Start something and then finish it. Because here's the reality. You ready? Watch this. Okay. I have to clean the garage, so I start cleaning it, and I get about halfway done, right? And then I've got to put my sphere of influence list together because I know that's what they told me to do when I first started in real estate, to get everybody I know on a list of paper. And everybody, tons of people do this. They never really got their sphere of influence list together yet, and that's on their things to do. So what they did is they started it. They never finished it. This is the point where I thought about it, right? I thought about who should be on it, but I never put pen to paper or I never started typing it out yet, right? And so what are some other things that we plan on doing in real estate?
Phone calls.
How about I made some phone calls to some for sale by owners, and I have to call them back to make an appointment, right? What are some other things that we start, that, or not you people, but what are some things that real estate agents start and they don't finish?
Blog.
A blog, right? Yeah, it could be a blog, right? Could be a blog. I went online, I found out which site to go on, I went to the training class about it, and I almost signed up for one, and then I signed up for one, but then I didn't put the information that I needed to put in, right? How about this? I gave my office my photograph. I gave my office, I told my office which office I was working in, and my contact information, my cell phone number, and all that good stuff, but I didn't give them my profile to put on my webpage. You all know you need to do it, right? It's one of those circles hanging out there. What about personal things that we start that we don't finish? I mentioned cleaning the garage. What are some other things?
Your desk.
Your desk, right? You're going to clean my desk, right? And you're reminded of that every day. The circle's not closed, right? Because you go and you see that desk. Some of you have two desks. One at work, one at home, right? How about the automobile? Do any of you right now have anything that needs to be done to your automobile? Raise your hand if you do. Wash, oil change, tune up, check the tires, right? Guess what? It's an open circle. You're carrying it around in your head. You're stressing out about it. Listen, if psychologists were asked what causes nervous breakdowns, this would be it. Unfinished circles. Unfinished circles. How about relationships? Does anybody owe you money? Do you owe anybody an apology for something? Right? Were you going to send a card to someone and you haven't done it yet? Or you're going to?
Yes.
Right?
I'm full of unfinished circles.
Your life is full of unfinished circles. So what's number 3 say? Read it back to me, please.
Complete your circle, please.
Right.
Start something and finish it.
Right. Start something and then finish it. Thank you. What causes nervous breakdowns? Unfinished
believe
circles. So finish your circles. And what do you think my advice is? If you can't finish it, do what?
Don't do it.
Don't start it. Absolutely. We talked about that right on the beginning of the class. It was one of our 5 questions. If you know you can't finish it, don't start it.
Keep your circle small.
Keep your circles small. A little tiny circles. Okay. Yeah. Maybe set small goals. Set them in steps, you know?
Doable ones.
Right. Like I'm going to clean, how about this? I'm going to clean a quarter of the garage this weekend. Right? A corner of the garage this weekend. And the next weekend I'm just going to do a corner every weekend. You know, and that's manageable. And guess what? You're not stressed out. You're not feeling like a failure. You're not feeling like, I didn't get those things done today. Sometimes you set your expectations too high. Right?
Too much in the day.
Guys, whatever you do, I highly encourage you, no matter what comes up. A reload buyer needs to go see a home. I have a listing appointment. I have a home inspection. I have a closing. The weather's going to be bad. Please don't ever miss one of these training classes. I wish I could say that to everybody. I wish I could say it to everybody that came here, but I'm telling you folks right now, please don't miss a training class. You know, we're living in a life of we don't know what we don't know. And when you don't show up for a training class, you miss something. And that could have been the one thing that could have saved you in real estate. That could have helped you to really knock the cover off the ball, to change your life in the real estate industry and make it more pleasurable for you. I wish I could say that to everyone. I wish everyone could feel that. I wish everyone could hear that. There's nothing more important than learning how to improve your skills and learning how to get to the next step in real estate. Nothing more important. All right, there are some things. I'm sorry, there are some things. But it's out of the excuses that I just listed off. Now, this leads us into number 4. Number 4 is learn to say no. Some of you finished that sentence. You knew where we were going with that, didn't you? Learn to say no. You know, you can always find someone to delegate to. You know, I went to a time management seminar very early on when I was in real estate because I knew that there were people in my office that were awesome salespeople, and there were people in my office that were losers as far as, not as people, they were really nice people, but they just weren't making it. They were showing up and they were failing. So it just dawned on me that, you know what? There are things we have to learn about that are specific to our real estate business, but then there are self-improvement type things that we just have to learn in general, like time management. Now, any of the time management techniques and tips, I put the title of the seminar, Time Management for Real Estate Agents. Could I have changed that title to Time Management for Loan Originators? Time Management for Managers? Time Management for Time Managers? Right? Time Managers for Professional Athletes? Time Management for anything? Senior Executives? Time Management for Hydroceramicists?
Parents.
Time Management for Parents? Did any of you know what a hydroceramicist was?
I was
I
impressed.
think you'd be very impressed to know that I was a hydroceramicist at the age of 15 years old. Dishwasher.
Oh, God.
Hydroceramicist. Some of you will get that on the car ride home. Anyway.
Where did you get that name?
I don't know, but I've learned, I heard it years ago, and I just always stuck with me. Hydroceramicist. So anyway, time management. You have to learn techniques just for personal self-improvement. So I went to seminars, I went to Dale Carnegie classes, I went to all kinds of I bought cassette tapes and books. I subscribed to a magazine called Nightingale Conant, and they have tons of great stuff. Now I would just go on their website and look at what they have. I mean, I have a library of self-improvement cassette tapes and workbooks. Of course, now they would be, for you younger people in the room, these were these little plastic things that had a tape inside of them. You'd put them in a player and it would play them, just kind of like a CD, But anyway.
Really?
Yeah, pretty cool. I still have them. You laugh, but I went into Best Buy to buy a cassette tape player, and the young guy was working at 16, 17 years old, and
He didn't
looked
know
at me.
what it
He looked at me. He's like, "What?"
What do you want?
Oh, wow.
And I thought, this is going to be a problem. I'm older now. This is an issue. And I have all these, I have literally, honest to goodness, have hundreds of cassette tapes, because the programs come to 6 apiece. I have a library of all self-improvement cassette tapes and workbooks. And I would make the time to study these. Make the time for training. That was one of my big chunks, right? That was one of my important items. I went to, some people ask me what college I graduated from. I tell them AU. AU, yeah. Automobile University. I just kept these things in my car all the time and played them everywhere I would drive.
They don't make cars like that anymore.
No, they don't. No, not anymore. But it's interesting. Now that you can plug in your iPod, you can have all this information on your iPod and you can put them in there. Here's another little technique. I'm going to get off time management for a second and teach you about a little self-improvement technique. Do you know the human mind can comprehend words and comprehend the words up to 3 times faster than the average human actually speaks? So you could take someone's voice and ramp it up 3 times faster, and you would actually comprehend the words better than if they spoke at a normal rate of speed. And so when I first learned about this about 15 years ago, I went to Radio Shack and I bought what's called a variable speed playback recorder. And they do make them, okay? And I played all these cassette tapes back at a higher rate of speed. Now what they didn't do is they didn't control the pitch of the voice, so it would sound like the Chipmunks, which was rather entertaining actually. And so I'd put my headset on, and I'd play these in my car if I was going to the bank back in the day where you'd actually had to go to the bank. Now I haven't been to a bank in years now because everything's done online and automated. But I'd be sitting in the bank with my check that my broker would give me, and as I was depositing my checks, I would be listening in line with my variable speed playback recorder. Now the iPods, if you save it as an audiobook, you can play it back at a faster rate of speed.
In your iPod, you can change the speed?
Yes, you can, but you have to make it an audiobook, not a song. So there's an MP3, and then there's an MP4. I might be using the wrong extension.
So the MP3 is the song and whatever else is the book.
yes, you have to convert it to a book, and there's a technique to do that. If you want, I can share it with you, but it's a little involved, and then you can do that. So I mean that's a little technique. And guess what? I could listen to a 45-minute cassette tape in 30 minutes. Good time management, and I was comprehending more of what they were saying. Think about it this way: if somebody has a very strong accent, do you tend to really squint your eyes and lean in more? And isn't that a sign of you're listening more, right? You're paying attention more when you hear that. When someone's talking very fast, it makes you pay attention more, and therefore you're able to comprehend more that way as well. Okay, so that's a bonus. A little bonus in time management class today. Now,
Couldn't we all just learn to talk faster?
that would be great. That would be great. In certain parts of the country, we do, right?
Some people
now,
talk too fast on
Number 4 is
voicemail.
what?
Yeah.
Learn to say what?
No.
Learn to say no. Now, what I've done for the visual for you there is I have provided you with some ways to say no. How many ways did I provide you with to say no? 20.
20.
Go to the next page if you would, please. And I've provided you 20 ways to say no. 20. Pick the one that's best for you. And you may use it over and over and over again. I'm in the middle of several projects. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not taking on any new responsibilities. I'm not the most qualified person for the job. I do not enjoy that kind of work. I do not have any room in my calendar. And by the way, stop there for a second. I do not have any room in my calendar. See, the problem why you're saying yes when your friend calls you and says, hey, what are you doing Sunday? And you say nothing, and then they say, great, I need help moving a piano. How about this? Hey, Deborah, what are you doing Monday morning? And Deborah, let's say, she has a listing appointment in the afternoon, but not in the morning. She goes, oh, nothing. My open's wide open. Great, I need a ride to the airport. And you're like, oh, geez, I wish I had a listing appointment on Monday morning. So here's the key. Have listing appointments all the time, and you won't have to do anything for anyone. You'll be booked up, and you'll say, I have no room in my schedule.
So you'll make money and you'll have no friends.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely, right.
That is perfect. That is perfect.
But
I'm
here-
not so sure that's a
but
good thing.
But now listen, hold on to that thought. I'm gonna address that. She said you're not gonna you'll make money, but you'll have no friends. Here's what is important. Remember what I shared with you about my schedule? What did I tell you about my schedule when I first started the seminar? I had it in my schedule Wednesdays and Thursday nights. I was
Watching the
I was with the
Watching the
kids.
kids.
Quality time with the kids. When somebody said to me, John, I can only meet you on Wednesday night to list my house, I looked at my schedule and I said, I don't have any room in my calendar. You follow me? When someone said, I want to see a house Saturday night, and I looked at my schedule, and because I physically wrote my schedule, dinner and a movie, or dinner in karaoke, or dinner and drinks, or that was date night. There was no room in my schedule for that. That was important to me. And that was time that we would go out with friends, too. Somebody said to me, I want to write up an offer, but I'm available Sunday at 7 o'clock. I'm like, that's when me and the kids sit on the couch and we put our arms around each other. We watch America's Funniest Home Videos. I'm not giving that up. I'm not giving up watching my children laugh. I'm sorry. I don't have enough room in my calendar for that. You follow me, folks? So the problem, the reason why we're living out of balance, and the reason why some people have money and no friends, is that they're not making time, they're not putting a calendar together and putting in the important things in their calendar first. And then when somebody tries to pull you in another direction, they're saying what?
No.
No.
Which goes back to your talking about being in control.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Being in control. See, the reason why many of us in this industry are not in control is we don't have a schedule. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, too. So these are all ways to say no. I hate to split my attention among my projects. I have another commitment. I have no experience with that. I know you will do a wonderful job yourself. I need to focus more on my personal life. I need to focus on my career right now. Some of you need to do both. That's okay. That's normal. You could say to a friend, I need to focus on my career and personal life right now. I can't help you move on Saturday. I need to leave some free time for myself. I would rather decline than do a mediocre job. I mean, sometimes, I know friends that can't say no to people. They cannot say no. And these are wonderful, beautiful, warm people. And thank you for saying no to that phone call right now. That was good. You chose not to answer it, right? I would rather decline than do a mediocre job. Here's what happens. For people that can't say no, they end up disappointing the people they said yes to because they overextended themselves. How many have ever done that? I'm raising my hand. Have you ever overextended yourself? The problem with overextending, you said yes to too many things to too many people, and then you end up falling on your face and failing at something, or not showing up on time, or making your schedule too tight. Give yourself time in between appointments, more time than you think you'll need, and you'll have less stress. Try not to squeeze it all in. I would rather help out with another task. Let me hook you up with someone who can do it. I like this one. I like using this technique for will you cut your commission? No. Not right now, but I can do it later. Some things have come up that need my attention. This really is not my strong suit. Now, any one of those things can apply, right? Go to the next page. The next seminar we're going to talk about, that we're going to have, is about how to find listings by phone. And some of you are like, oh, the do not call list. You're right? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how to overcome that. You're going to learn a tried and proven 5-step process to find listing prospects by phone. As a bonus, you'll learn how to turn those prospects. Now, once you find them, I'm going to also teach you how to turn them into appointments. Thank you, Deborah. Appointments. Plural, not singular, right? I told you these seminars kind of roll into each other. You know, when you hear somebody finishing one of my sentences, that means that they've attended a previous workshop. So that's next Friday, February 8th. The Friday after that, I'm going to be at our Experience 2008 convention. So there will not be a training then. And if you look at the very last page, the last time we had a group of people here, I lost 3 clipboards, and they're not in this office. So it wasn't the Longmeadow agents. And so leave your clipboards. Now, did I give you everything that you needed today? No? What am I missing?
Number 5.
Number 5. I'm so glad you brought that up. And after we handle number 5, we're going to open up to some questions, and we're going to have time for some interaction as well, okay? So, number 5. Number 5 is, I made some additional notes on this one. Number 5 is re-engineer yourself. Number 6 is leave your clipboards on the. Oh, sorry. This is too funny. Somebody said, I can't believe someone would do that. I'm like, they're just kleptomaniacs. They thought this is the bonus. This is the bonus they've been waiting for, the free clipboard.
I want that.
It's great.
I didn't realize I had it with this stuff. And I forgot to bring it this morning.
Well, I'll say there's one.
Here
Here
it is.
it
Honest
is.
person. Thank you for stepping up. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You're one of the few. Thank you so much.
Just don't forget the editing.
I'm just happy that you told me. You don't even have to bring it back. But you know what happens? I mean, eventually this keeps happening, and then there are no more clipboards left, and you guys are writing on your laps again. So, as a courtesy, I picked those up for you guys. I even put the company's name on it.
Yeah,
and
we
you're
see
thinking,
that.
well, I work for that company, so it's mine. I'm going to take it.
6%.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness. So here's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to give each of you a bonus that are in this class, and this isn't going out to everyone that we're talking about. I also provide this to people who work with me one-on-one that I'm coaching. So if you're coaching with me one-on-one right now, you're getting this a little early. And by the way, people who choose to be coached by me one-on-one, one of the requirements is that you have to go to training every Friday, and that's important because I'm going to talk about things. Here's what bothers me more than anything. Someone comes in and says, John, I need help with something, and they come in and they're asking me about help, and I'm thinking to myself, I just spent an hour and 45 minutes talking about this at the last training class, and somehow you were too busy to show up. Like you didn't make the time. It wasn't important enough for you to do it then. But now all of a sudden it's an urgent, thing. So I still help the person, but sometimes they don't have an hour and a half for me to spend with them. to really show them all the things that they needed to learn, right? So now, here's what I call re-engineering yourself, okay? And write this down, please. Write down everything you do for 1 week. This is a task. At the end of each session, workshop, I always give you some homework. I give you a task. I give you an item, something to do. Because in a workshop, I can only make you aware of what it is that you need to know, but I can't do anything for you. Workshops don't change your life. These training sessions don't change your life. You change your life with what you decide to do with the information that you gathered today once you walk out of the room. That's when your life changes. That's when people come back to me and they say, hey, that training class really worked. And I said, no, it didn't. You really worked. You're the one who deserves the credit for your success, not me, not the training classes. You're the one that showed up, and then you left and you implemented the techniques that you learned, and that's how you become successful. Now, you wrote down everything you do for 1 week and cross out everything you did that did not bring you closer to your goal. Ooh. Now, I literally, honest to goodness, want you to walk around with a legal pad and write down every 15 minutes or every half hour of every little stinking thing you did. This is kind of weird. It's different. It's a change of lifestyle. You literally have to walk around with a legal pad, and if you left the office and went and grabbed a cup of coffee and then went back to the office, you write down coffee break, 20 minutes. Oh, actually, it's a half an hour, because when I come back to the office, I spent 10 minutes drinking it and talking to somebody. And that's okay. You know, I always tell people, if you're going to goof off honestly. I mean, just goof off honestly. Too many times I walk in real estate offices and I see, people taking, I call this the 5-step shuffle. They take the paper and put this one over here and put that one over there. This one over here. And they take their leads from the open houses that they did over the past 6 months and they go, well. You hear this noise?
Yep, put them down.
You hear this noise? This is the noise of someone screwing off dishonestly. Okay? They're not being honest about it. They're just, they think they're working. They pretend they're working. And sometimes you just unconsciously get caught up in these little activities and you're goofing off and you don't even realize it. Okay? And so by writing everything down, it brings you up to a much, much higher level of awareness than you can possibly imagine. You know, if you do this for 1 week and you fax me or send me your log for the whole week, I'm not even going to look at what it did. I will buy you lunch. How's that? And I'll give you a free 1-hour coaching session. How's that as a bonus? I'll take you to lunch anywhere you want to go within 30 miles of Western Mass. I want to go to New York City, and get a filet mignon, and you can order anything you want. Okay?
Have you made this offer before?
I've never made this offer before. This is a one-time offer.
Be afraid.
And
Be very afraid, but we're all going to go to lunch.
and no, you can bring your wife too. Absolutely, if you do this.
Now if she doesn't fill out her chart.
Now, all right, so you both have to do it. All right, good. All right, that's a deal. That's my promise, right? It's not just something I'm saying. That's a promise I'm making you.
Is that
Okay?
like a 24-hour, every single
Well,
thing we
when
do?
you're sleeping, I mean, literally, honest to goodness, what you're going to do is you're going to put in when you sleep.
Right.
I went to bed at 10, and it doesn't mean you slept, but I mean you put your head down on the pillow from 10 to 6. I get up at 7 or whatever, and then from 7 to 8, I personal hygiene. You say it's an hour. Makeup, hair, clothes, suit, whatever it is. Okay. You write that in your schedule, and you literally carry this around with you all day, every day. And you write down everything you do, okay? And here's the task. After you do this, I'm not done. You can't just write it down. You have to do some other things. And this is the easy part. The hard part is disciplining yourself to do this, okay? And by the way, if you forget to start it today and you want to start it tomorrow or next Monday, that's okay. The deal still applies.
Monday.
If you start this next month and do it,
Which Monday?
for a week at any time, I'll help you. I'll get you that lunch that I promised. Okay. Any place, it's lunch. It has to be somewhere in the vicinity. You're not going to travel too far away from here. And you can order anything you want, okay, on the menu. On the menu. Someone's thinking lobster. You know what? If you do this, I will do that for you. That is my absolute promise. Okay?
7 days.
7 days. 7 days.
That's gonna require
You only need
24.
1 week.
Yeah.
She already has the clipboard. All right,
I
great.
think Roger met.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
A stenographer notebook.
Absolutely.
It's
Now,
just
Like
required.
to adopt the weight
You-
loss
hold on.
insurance.
I'm going to give you, as another bonus, lots of bonuses today. As another bonus, right, I'm going to provide you with the tool that you need to do this, okay? But I don't want to show it to you yet because I don't want you to look at that. I want you to write down a few more things. Now, I gave you the tough part. The easy part is you need to cross out anything that doesn't bring you closer to your goal. So just draw a line through it. You did it, and it doesn't bring you close to your goal. Like Tim, it was so awesome that he brought that up, and he said, sending out prospecting letters, because that's not leading you closer to your goal. The only thing leading you close to your goal is meeting face-to-face with buyers or sellers. That's the highest priority, that's the highest payoff activity you can do in real estate. Here's the second item you need to do on your list. You need to circle all the things you can live without. Circle all the things you can live without. It doesn't mean that you're going to. Like for me, it's kettle corn. I love kettle popcorn. It's the best. I can't live without
Only
that.
from the Big E.
Right, only from the Big E is definitely the best. They have it at
Circle.
Costco and BJ's. These
It's not
big-
the same.
No, it's not the
You gotta
same,
eat
but
it
it's,
hot.
but it's close.
Yeah.
It's
Gotta
okay.
be right out of the pan.
Yeah.
Gotta be right out of the pan.
So there are times when I'm sitting down
I've
watching
never had
TV
it.
for a half an hour and stuffing my face with kettle corn, and I'm going to put that on my schedule. I ate kettle corn for a half an hour, and I can't live without that. But circle the things you can live without. Okay. And here's something else. Delegate the things that someone else could do for you. So what you could do is, you can do anything you want. You can highlight it for me, you can put a little star next to it, and these are the things that you're going to delegate, things that someone else can do for you.
That colonoscopy,
Yeah, right.
I volunteered, Tim, but
You should have sent Ken. Ken did volunteer. I heard him say that. He was willing to do that for you. So,
It's a real team.
that's right. That's right. So now,
delegate the things that.
delegate the things that someone else could do for you. Now, feel this, okay? I'm 24 years old, and I owned my own home at the time, and I'm in real estate. I'm a real estate agent, and I remember a seller wanting me to go out. I had an opportunity to go on a listing appointment, and my lawn was out of control. My lawn was, it looked bad. It looked like the house was being abandoned. It was so out of control because I was so busy, And I did go to a time management class, and one of the techniques that I had learned is that how much money are you worth per hour? Now, if you're making $50,000 a year, you're worth about, I'm guessing, about $26 an hour, okay? Now, if you're making $100,000 a year, maybe you're worth $55 an hour. I mean, I don't know what the math is. It depends on how many hours a week you're working, okay? But you do the math. How much money do you want to make? Write that down, please. In 2008, how much do you want to make? And then divide that by 52, and then divide that by 40, and that comes out to your, I didn't ask you to bring a calculator to today's class, but that would give you your hourly rate. Now, I don't know if any of you are
What about
good.
vacation weeks?
What's that?
Usually.
Yeah, count those out too. Yeah, take those out for vacation weeks. And Christine has a calculator, so are you gonna do one for us? You're gonna give us an hourly rate?
Sure.
Go right ahead.
Actually, I did mine last year.
Oh, good.
Because when I started, I was like, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, but am I working too hard? I couldn't figure it out, and then I started calculating my hours by client. That doesn't work out because
Yes.
sometimes you don't make anything.
Right.
So then I just, all of 2007, I calculated to like a half hour of what I did, and I made $26 an hour.
All right, so $26 an hour, right? So let's say
I
it's
didn't work as much as I should have.
all right. So, but $26 an hour. That's how much Christine is worth per hour last year. Okay. So this year she wants to double her income, right? That's $52 an hour, right? So here's what I would say to Christine. Christine, if you worked for me and you were making $52 an hour, I would not let you do certain things that I could pay someone else less money to do. If you were my employee and I was paying you $52 an hour and envelopes needed to be folded and stamped, and could I pay someone less than $52 an hour to do those things? Yes or no?
Yes.
Input something in an MLS chain. How about drop off a sign or a lockbox? Can you pay someone less than $52 an hour to get that work done? So what I had to do is, I didn't have the money, of course, to pay. I know I wanted to make, $100 an hour. That was my goal. I wanted to be worth like $100 an hour, right? And now, Phil, I was in my mid-20s, and by using these techniques, I was making six figures. And so it works. So what? But I had to be smart about it. You have to lead with income, right? You have to have the money in order to spend it. You can't be foolish about it, although it was very tempting. And because I was thinking, hey, somebody should drive me around in a limousine. No. But here's what I did. I started with this. Every morning when I got up, I would take a dress shirt, with a tie and everything, and I'd take my dress shirt out, and I'd have them in the wash, and I'd put I'd wash my shirts, and then what I would do is I'd iron them out, and then I learned about this really cool stuff called starch. I learned about that, and I learned how great that was, and I'd starch my shirts, and I'd iron them out like this, and I do this every morning, and because I'm somewhat of a perfectionist, it would take me like 10-15 minutes to really get this shirt nice and crisp and all the wrinkles out of it, so that when I put it on, it looked just right. And then I'd get in the car and wrinkle it within 5 minutes. But anyway, the bottom line is that I was spending this amount of time, and I figured out, even if it's $50 an hour, it's $25 a half hour, that's $12.50 for every 15 minutes. So it's costing me, now feel this, it's costing me $12.50 to iron every one of my shirts. And I figured out how much time per week I was spending on ironing shirts, So what's 6 times 12? 72? 72. So I was spending $72 a week on ironing shirts. And I thought, wow, if I brought these to the cleaners, right? How much would they charge me to do it?
$2.
Yeah, and I started. But at that time, it was $1.25 actually, back in the day. And so, I thought, wow, yeah, this is great. So I started going to the cleaners and dropping off my shirts. Gave me more time. And then I found someone to mow my lawn, because my lawn would take an hour and a half, 2 hours, and get all sweaty and have to shower afterwards and before I could go out on an appointment. And I didn't enjoy doing it either. I mean, listen, if there's some things that you do that you enjoy, that give you peace of mind, is something that I call not totally, and don't be offended when I say it, it's like a mindless activity,
No-brainer.
a no-brainer, something that just gives you peace of mind, gives you time to think, And there are times that, when I've been in the shower and I come up with a great idea, or if you're mowing your lawn and you come up with this great idea, it's time for you to just close your batteries, and recharge your batteries and do something. That's totally fine, but make time to do that. But if you're doing something that you don't enjoy doing, and don't fool yourself. Don't say, "Oh, I enjoy doing everything." You don't. But even if you do, you still have to delegate some of these things to give yourself more time to do what?
Make money.
And how do you make money? By doing the 3 most important things. What were they? Listing appointments, prospecting, and training. Right? So, when I say delegate all the things, to someone else, take a real close look at what you're doing. Hire an assistant. But you can't hire an assistant until you get some listings, and they actually have things to do, right? So don't put the cart before the horse. Don't take my words and twist them around and make them not work for you. But that has to be your goal, right? Bill, we were talking just this week, we were talking about, Bill wants to double his real estate income. We talked about triple his real estate income from last year. So in order to do that, we talked about at some point, you're going to, and Linda, you guys are going to work together on this. And at some point, the goal is going to be that you both are delegating this to a third-party person, because you're worth way too much money per hour to be doing all the things that need to be done in real estate that you could pay someone $10 an hour to do, when you're each making $100 an hour, separately $100 an hour. So you have to let go and replace those things with going to I wanted to go to your training class, John, but I had so much to do today. I had to get a listing in MLS. I heard that last week. Laugh. It's just, I had to put a listing in MLS, and I'm thinking, doesn't the admin offer to do that for you? I mean, like, why are you working at a full-service real estate company and you're doing all the work yourself? I mean, we're here to support you. Let us do the work. It's just too funny. So, the last point that I want to leave you with, and then I'll open it up to some interaction, is this. What is the highest priority thing that you can do in real estate?
Make a plan and implement it.
Make a plan and implement. That is definitely one of the things.
Face-to-face.
That is an important thing. Thank you. Yes, that is I emphasize the word the most important thing that you can do in real estate. The highest payoff activity that you can perform in real estate is be face-to-face with a live one. Okay? Face-to-face with a live one. That is the most important thing that you can do in real estate. Absolutely, positively, hands down. And so I can determine someone's income just by looking at their appointment book. So can you.
Uh-oh.
Look at your appointment. How many appointments do you have face-to-face with live ones? And if you don't have any, or if you don't have enough, what do you need to do?
That's all.
What are they?
Prospecting, appointments, and
Listing
training.
appointment and training. Why is training so important? Because you can't do the other two well unless you do go to training. That's why. What's the next training class going to be on?
Listing.
Yeah.
Setting.
I mean, John's saying I need to get face-to-face with these live ones. Well, we need to learn how to get face-to-face with these live ones. Number one, we need to learn how to find them, right? And then once we find them and identify them, we need to learn how to get an appointment with them. Because some of you are really great at finding them, and you're really bad at making the appointment with them, so you have to make the appointment. And then going future seminars from here, I'm going to teach you what you do on the appointment, what you say on the appointment. I'm going to teach you a system of what top producers do to get listings
Okay.
once they get face-to-face. But first, you have to develop habits and techniques, and you have to go to training to learn how to identify them. Once you identify them, then you need to learn how to make the appointment. And after you make the appointment, you need to know how to present. And after you learn how to present, you need to learn how to close them, right? Because what happens is we all get to a certain point like this. It's like a circle, you know? We get to a certain point and we identify them, we make the appointment, we present, and we do a great job, and then we don't close them, you know? Some of us are, we're finding them, and that's it. Sometimes we're finding them, and we're making the appointment, but we're not doing all the things right on the appointment, and it stops right at there. You know, sometimes, like when I was joking around one of the classes, I said, one of the secrets to is show up, and then I stopped the sentence right there. I said, it was work. Some of us, all we have to do is just work. And I said, if we just stopped right there, everyone would be better off. We just worked, right? So part of it is just going to work and doing the right things. And the other secret to success, I think Woody Allen said this, that 97% of success is showing up. You ever heard that saying before?
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to show up. Now, so that's the thought that I wanted to leave you with. Now, what I want to do now is just open it up for interaction for a little bit. And ask you, I call this method of interaction, it's called the instant debate method. And so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to offer up a suggestion of completing your circles. So what are some ways or some things or some comments that you'd like to say? And I always like to ask you to refer to what I call your aha notes. Each of you made some notes today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of you made a lot of notes. And so what I'd like you to do is refer to your notes. And these are notes that you heard something today and you said, aha, that's a good one. And so if you could refer to your aha notes and tell me something about what you got out of the Complete Your Circles.
Finish my profile.
Finish your profile. Absolutely. Good one.
Make
Yes.
a plan.
Make a plan. Awesome.
I liked what was said on the side over here about keeping your circles small. Because if you keep them small, you can complete them.
That's a good aha. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Make your goals realistic, pretty much.
Make your goals realistic, which is also perfectly falls in line with making your circles smaller, right? What are some other ahas? Yes.
Learn to say no.
Yes, learn to say no. And now you have 20 ways to say no. See, when I first put this together, that was it. I just, learned to say no. And then I thought, well, I bet you there's a few people in the class that are going to say, well, how do I do that, John? Because every time I've taught this class, and I tell people, look, you just need to learn to say no. And almost everyone asks, well, how do I say no? So I wanted to give you those reasons. I actually found those on the internet last night, and I just copied and pasted them in there, and there they are. I just Googled how to say no.
Wow.
Just put in Google, how do you say no?
Wow.
And I came up with some links, and there you go. Right? What else?
Make lists.
Make lists. Yes, very important.
Prioritize.
And prioritize. Yep.
Identify what works versus what doesn't.
Yeah, very powerful. Like, that's great. I mean, that's perfect. I love what you said. Identify what works, and that way, by knowing what works, you find out what doesn't, and you say, wow, I need to do more of what works and less of what doesn't, right? Awesome. Yes.
I think the brain dump is a really good idea, and I think it's really effective, but I think it's important not to have that be carrying around a list that's as long as your arm. I think you should have like 6 or 7 as a limit that you can deal with effectively.
Yeah.
And then, go back to the mind, the brain dump, and put that on your list of things to do, but your list of things to do shouldn't be 116 items. It'll just overwhelm you, I think.
Perfect. And that you said it beautifully. Yeah. That goes back to the take your top 3 things that day. Like, this is what I'm just going to accomplish it this day. Just these 3 things. And you're going to find out, folks, when you do this, just as Deborah had explained and described to you, it's really hard to do the top 3 things sometimes. I mean, if you are, there are other statistics out there that, you're within the top 5% of income earners in the country, if you can just do the top 3 things every day. You do that consistently, and because that's what they do. And if you just focused on those things, and I made a comment, you can afford to pay someone else to do all the other stuff. You'll have the money to do that. Just do the top 3 things. So the first step is identifying, and that starts with the brain dump and then the list and then doing it every day. Yes.
I just want to say, going back to what you said about keeping your schedule, full things on your schedule that are important. Years ago when I started real estate, I had 2 small children that were in soccer and baseball and all that stuff. And if a client asked me to meet them at 6 o'clock when there was a game, and I said, sorry, that would have been my daughter's game,
Yes.
that would upset them. Because
You
it's
don't
like saying to
say
them, you're not important.
To the
If I
client?
s- yeah.
Right, yes.
They didn't respect my need to go to my child's game.
Right.
So I
Just say,
said, I'm sorry, I have an appointment at 6.
Yes.
That was perfectly all right with them.
Absolutely.
They would find another time.
Or
So
I'm
they didn't-
unavailable at that time.
Ex-
Right.
Yeah, something like that, because they have to respect your need for your time, but they don't
Absolutely.
respect certain things, so.
Well, what's great about what you're saying is, you talk about, different ways to say no, and rather than telling them, exactly what you're doing, just say, I'm sorry, I already have an appointment for that time. I'm already have a commitment for that time. So, geez, when are you available? When you're, the less available you are,
The more they want you.
the more they want you. Thank you, Ken, that's good, I like that. And I was gonna say, the less available you are, the more professional you appear. Geez, you need brain surgery. Well, I can do it any time. It's fine. I haven't done it in 3 years, but that's fine. Or there's a surgeon in Switzerland who has a 1-year waiting list. Which one do you want to get into next week if you can? Right? Yes.
I had a phone call 2 weeks ago. It was a referral. The woman called me. It was a Monday morning, and usually Monday morning. I go to the office every morning at 8:30.
Oh, okay.
That's my schedule.
Yes.
But she called me. She said, I need to list my house. Can you come over this morning? And I said, I'm sorry, I can't. So we went through the week, and we settled on a date. About 2 hours later, She called the office, didn't speak to me, and said, "Tell Barbara I found someone that would come over this morning."
That's okay, yeah.
Wow.
That's what I said. That's okay.
Right. Now feel this. Now here's what Barbara brings up is a good point, is that now Barbara has, if Barbara's not an average agent or an average person, way above I would have to say, because the average person would say, oh my gosh, like now I'm afraid, now feel this, I'm afraid to say no, because if I do, I'm going to lose money. I'm going to lose a listing opportunity. I'm going to lose and I'm telling you that if you did the top 3 things every day, you'd have so many listings you wouldn't care. That's my point. So the reason why you care too much sometimes about that buyer and or that listing is that you don't have enough of them. You know, if you're working with one buyer and they don't buy, it hurts. If you have one listing and it's not selling, it consumes your life. It just eats away at you.
There's a
Because
little
you're looking-
guilt when
Yeah.
that happens.
Yeah.
There is a feeling of guilt.
Yeah.
Like,
And when you have more, it's okay, you know? When you have 1,000 pennies and you drop one, let it go. You see what I'm saying? And so you want to create an environment for yourself with less stress and less fear. All you need to do is get more listings.
In that case, you haven't lost anything you didn't have.
That's right.
That's another great way of looking at it.
And someone like that,
If she's
may not
that
wanna work with them.
demanding,
You may not wanna work with
if
them.
she's
Right.
that demanding,
Right.
you don't want to work with her.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
You probably saved yourself
Would be
a lot of
blessing in
grief by
disguise.
not making it.
Well, I
But you
felt
see-
it.
Yeah.
I did feel guilty when I heard that. I thought maybe I should have tried harder.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to, you know, I've said this so many times over the past 2 weeks. I said, you know, I keep saying this to a lot of people too, but you just have to, sometimes you just have to let go and just let it happen. You know, it's okay. You know, it's, I love that saying, you know, and Mary has it on her door. It is what it is, right?
It is what it is.
And I like to say, hey, everything happens for a reason, right? So, you know, there are reasons why things happen, and that's
Did you
okay.
call her
You just
back?
have to accept.
I did not. I didn't even
No, I
bother.
was just curious. I don't blame you. I wouldn't have.
I didn't
She would
bother.
never call her back.
She's too busy getting other appointments.
Right, right on. Great.
Any other ahas that anyone would like to share? Some great things. Yes.
I do. I know other people won't, but I enjoy starting my day at the office, getting through all my phone calls, my emails, all that, and then I start on my day. But to me, that's very helpful.
Great. Excellent.
Every single day starting, no matter, and if I have something early, I just go in earlier. But that's how I start every
See,
day.
that's the opposite of what most people do in real estate, you know, especially making that tough phone call, telling that seller that the buyer is withdrawing their offer. Is that a call you want to make when you get up in the morning, or do you want to try to put that off?
Well, you don't want to make it at night.
Well, you don't, but then but listen, agents try justifying these things. Well, they're busy at work. I'll wait. I'll call them at night, and then a day goes by. Oh. You know, and it's just, you don't want to do it, and so sometimes it's best to just get the tough stuff out of the way first. Work on the top 3 things. Like, one of the top 3 things that day was to call the seller and tell them the deal's off. We have to put the house back on the market. That's one of the top 3 things. I have to work on that first before I do anything else. So Barbara does that first before she
Every
goes to
day.
the dry cleaners, or before she goes grocery shopping, or before she goes and calls about her cell phone bill being $700 less a month, and wanted to know why. You know, all the important things get done first for Barbara, and then she works on the other items. It's a hard habit to develop, but once you do, you get in the swing of things and things happen. Any other ahas?
Well, I'm an advocate of come to the office. I have a lot of the people in our office and any office get on the phone and make promises with people, et cetera, but if you can get them to come to the office, I personally go eye to eye, we had talked about before. I think you've got a potential buyer, most of the buyers, that are gonna commit to you if they make that trip to the office and meet you, et cetera. Now, if the chemistry doesn't work, then that's one thing, but then at the same time, you just let go, it doesn't fit. For some reason or other, and also with me. There are some people, as Barbara had mentioned, there are some people that you're saying to yourself after this first meeting, oh, this is not gonna work. This is not gonna work. So then at least you have an opportunity of doing one or two things. Just say hit the road, or You look at my friend over here.
For a 35% referral
There
fee.
you go.
Oh.
Absolutely, right now. You gotta give him some of those
Yeah.
referrals, too, right?
35% is not too bad.
No, it's not too bad. It's better than, nothing, right?
Well,
Absolutely.
you're getting old, John.
I know that. I know that. You don't have to remind me, but I can always look at you. Hey, if she can make it, I can make it.
Now listen, you see how reflexive that was? That's the benefit of learning dialogue. Okay, so learn what to say, how to say it, and you can have the charm and wisdom that this gentleman has right here. But I mean, it was great spending this time with you today, and I love the interaction. Clearly, based on your reaction, you guys get it, and I really feel like we communicated this morning, and hopefully I've changed some lives today that will help you make your life better in real estate. So if I do this by myself, it'll sound kind of lame. So what I'd like to do is join me in applauding you for doing such a great job today. Thank you. And if you haven't signed the sign-in sheet, that's the sheet. Please sign it. It's right by the door.
And leave the
That's-
clipboards.
Leave the clipboards on your chairs. It's fine.
Now I can go grocery shopping.
I'm going to hand those out at the next
I mean,
meeting.
Grocery
I
time
got
man.
them already printed up and ready to go.
You got somebody to do all that stuff.
Yeah, sure.
He's doing all that
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, all summer, every night I'm ironing golf clothes, all these golf shirts, all
Mary for my office meeting.
Like, I want one of those. We
Yes.
need to go to the fun stuff. Yes. Sure.
How are you?
I'm gonna do that. I'm
Yeah, that's I think it would be easier in this book, right? Now, have you been
Good, thank you.
Don't trip on my bag.
Have a good day.
You too. Oh my God, it's not raining out though.
You're what?
Oh, it's not raining out yet, or doing anything yet. Raining, I don't care. Oh, is it?
I can't see the rain.
Oh, somebody must have caught it. I'm trying to hook up this poor woman who's trying to get
money to buy a mobile phone.
She's trying to. Yeah, she's got.